Good morning and welcome to Tarot Time and welcome to the Medium channel where we bring you the spirituality behind the message and nothing like being late to your own parties, but thank you for the live people that are hanging in there. And if you're watching this as a video, well, welcome also. So, what's new? Oh, let me turn my volume down so you don't hear pings from my computer. What's new? It's a new week. It's the 20th, so the USA Pluto return, I believe, is officially beginning. But Pluto moves so slowly. We've been in Pluto return or already, but and we're gonna stay till what 2024 or 2025, um, thereabout. So but this is the beginning, and for that reason, this is the card that I chose to just talk about today as part of our little mini tarot tutorial. So if you're new, welcome, and please say hi and where in the world you're from. And what we do in tarot time is I talk a little bit about the tarot. It's a very mystical book of knowledge. And then we do a meditation card. So we pick a card that'll speak to us in our meditation practice this week. And I do a 3 card spread that could tap into things going on in your life or things going on in the world around us. And I have the a couple of Native American decks that I'm going to work with also. One's about the medicine cards, about the animals. Okay, I have my black tea this morning, so you guys, coffee, tea, or caffeine free? Today I need my caffeine. Sunday is basically my Saturday, so I just finished a long week of doing readings, doing events. So if I repeat myself, I'm thinking about this old King Crimson song in my mind. For those that are fans of music, when Adrian Belew joined the band, there's one song on this album called Discipline where he goes, I repeat myself when under stress. I repeat myself when under stress. I repeat myself when under stress. Anyway, I'm sorry. So, but I know you guys love me anyway. So that's what we're doing today. So a couple of reasons I wanted to pick the death card, and no, it's not because I'm morbid or anything like that. In fact, the death card is really about initiation, about spiritual initiation, because what happens after death, there's a rebirth, and that's what the card really represents is the rebirth element. And I'm not aware of a major arcana card that directly is ruled by the planet Pluto. I mean, in modern interpretations, there may be. So if you guys know which one it is, feel free to comment it. But the death card represents the sign Scorpio, which is a Pluto ruled sign. So that's one of the reasons that I picked this one. And yeah, and that's basically what a Pluto return would bring. It takes 200, and I can't even think of the numbers. Well, we could do the math. The country was born, at least, officially in 1776 on July 4th. We're in 2022 now, so you guys can do the math. Was it 234 years or something like that? But that's how long it takes Pluto to circle the sun. So this is the USA's first Pluto return, and Pluto is the planet. Well, it is of death and rebirth. It's of regeneration. Um, all that kind of underworld stuff. So what's happening is that the USA is basically going to go through some kind of a personal makeover starting around this time. And of course, we're seeing signs of it all over. And I think Sharita's on. Oh, yeah, she is. Yes. So Sharita is on, and she can, if we're nice to her, she may share a little bit more with us in the comments. But yes, we have a video that Sharita did for us back in November to explain the ins and the outs of the Pluto return and what that means and what the other aspects that are kind of coloring and influencing that. I know it hits a lot with the government and the financial sectors in the USA charts, And so so it's the beginning of a makeover of this country. And of course, not to be, what is it, egocentric when it comes to my homeland or anything, but that said, what happened in the USA does have a ripple effect around the world. And so it's really a global event that's centered in the United States. So we can expect, and it's not going to change overnight, but over the next several years we can expect a lot of changes in the government systems and the money systems. A lot of it's outworn, as I mean, there's always a level of unfairness in the way governments were run, and a lot of subtle programming, and a lot of subtle favoritism for certain types of people, certain economic groups, all that stuff. But it's been unsustainable for a while, and as humanity continues to evolve or de-evolve and then evolve again, but as humanity continues its evolutionary process, it becomes the way the structure of the country, not just the USA, but the global systems in general, it's just not sustainable. And you humans do not like change. The governments or the forces that control the governments don't want change because there's a corrupt flow of money and power that they don't want to see it end. But as we evolve, in humanity, and we continue the awakening process and continue to expand our consciousness, we see all the pitfalls in the way the structure is, the governments, the financial, the social systems, all of that stuff. It needs change. So this Pluto return is going to be an energetic catalyst for that. And because everything's connected and consciousness is what it is, but we can get some clues on what's happening in collective consciousness through the way the planets move, because they're all like bodies of energy, and they're points of conscious reference, for lack of a better term, on a Sunday morning. um, and understanding the numbers, because everything is numbered in the universe. Everything physical has a number. It's really zero or one, and then so it's really binary, but we're on a base 10 number system. So so it translates that way. But anyway, that said, so this is the time for evolution. It's time, yeah, and that's what this card is about. Things have to die to be reborn. Death is nothing to fear. Death can be a liberator of sorts, especially when you look at it in the symbolic sense. Because when we have a death, then we have a rebirth. So that's what initiation is. It's moving from one life to another, or one quantum level to another in our consciousness. And so it's that time. So anything else? It's key 13 in the tarot. So death card is key 13. And I remember, I grew up in New York City, and in the 1960s, and some of the buildings did not have a 13th floor, and I always would question my mom, and it's like 13, and 13 is unlucky or whatever. And I was like, why is a number unlucky? It's like, no, 13 is not unlucky. That was my conclusion as a kid. It's just a number. um, but it does have numerological significance, and in the tarot, which has kind of loose correspondence to the Chaldean numerology system. Um, 13 is really about transformation and change. So that's what that's what's happening. So I'm going to pull a meditation card, and so yeah, Sharita is giving us the details. So check the common threads if you want to get a little bit more astrology. Now, other than that, the moon is starting its waning cycle, or it started recently. I didn't get a chance to check the ephemeris this morning, to because often I'll talk about a couple of the major aspects that are coming up for the week. Well, the moon's waning, yeah, in waning moons, and in fact, on Thursday I'm going to put out a video for you guys about law of attraction and astrological timing, and how to make your manifestation work so much stronger if you are able to understand the astrological currents and swim with those currents rather than against them. Um, so when there's a waning moon, yeah, because the moon's getting smaller, it's a good time to release, to let go. And the waxing moon is a good time to build and to add, because the moon is adding to its size every day. And it's also, the energy tends to get a little bit quieter, so tend to be more, say, introspective, or maybe introspect. Yeah, introspective is a good enough word. um, so that these are just tendencies, and then of course you have to look at what sign the moon's in, what planets it's aspecting it to fine tune that. But it, as a general feeling, as the moon's waning, what would you like to release from your life? What doesn't serve you anymore? And work towards releasing that. And of course, as I often say, you cannot release what you do not embrace first. Um, and by embracing what you desire to release, then you can learn the lessons that you needed to learn in order to make the release complete. Otherwise, there's still going to be that element of holding on to something, because everything that we deem as negative is really, spirit's way of trying to teach us something. At least, it's an overgeneralization anyway. So let me just clear my mind and pull a card to suggest for our meditation work this week. And sometimes there's a message behind that as well. This one, I don't know why my. Oh, interesting. So I think 3 or 4 weeks in a row we got major arcana cards. So the devil card is an interesting choice. Interesting card to meditate on, right? But you know, everything in tarot is symbolic. This is also the sign Capricorn. So, me telling you this, don't start to tell your Capricorn friends that they're really the devil, please. Because then they're going to, say, who is this Adam guy? What's the medium channel? Who is he? Let me add him. But anyway, it's key 15 in the tarot, and connected to the sign Capricorn. And what the devil card can teach us is really what's keeping us bound to limitation, whether to limiting mindset, a limiting belief system, limitations of the society. Sometimes this card can link into the government because it's got that Capricorn energy, that Saturn edge to it. And yeah, I mean, the different decks are different. This is the Hanson Roberts deck, and you can take a mental snapshot of this card, or if you have your own deck, you can use that. And the way to meditate with the cards is you always get present. Start with your breath, inhaling love, exhaling, releasing what you don't need anymore. Get relaxed, relax shoulders, relax your body. And then when you're nice and relaxed, then in your mind you step into the card, like this is like a magic doorway. And then when you step in, you can see the whole panoramic view. So there may be all kinds of other beings, other scenes, other messages, other symbols in the card. You just kind of sit with the energy, stay present in the energy. What does the devil have to teach you? um, and certainly anytime that I've gone down that, say a darker path in life or whatever it is, certainly I've learned a lesson in the process. So sometimes, you can look at the devil as the teacher also, and just kind of getting an understanding, because it's Saturn. It also represents structure and sometimes karma, but it's really what lessons. So this is really, to me, is telling us, as this group, this collective group. Oh, Pluto's in Capricorn. Yes, thank you, Amy. So I'm just glancing at yours. Yes, I'm not the devil. Hello, Hola from Mexico. Very good. And the devil may be doing. Yeah, we can always blame the devil, right? But what is the devil really like? And I'm not going to answer that. That might be the question when you go into meditate in the card. What really is the devil? Is that like a real entity? Is that an aspect of collective consciousness? Is that a biblical concept that that you may not believe in. I mean, what is that really? Because it's all symbolic, but it is an energy. It is a force, and this is our time to understand it. The idea is never to fear, and for those of you that are, that do follow some of the biblical teachings, you know that the devil is only allowed to tempt, basically. So what tempts you in terms of like going into lower consciousness or lower vibrations and stuff like that? So lot can be learned through meditating with this card. Um, and if you feel a little uneasy, I mean, again, it's symbolic. You're not going to like meet Beelzebub, when you open the door and step into the card. You're not going to be like, oh, I have you now. It's more like what you what do you what do you need to learn through that experience, and and Spears just saying, tell them to befriend the devil. Like, that's not the enemy, that's the teacher. And that's kind of along the lines of the last video that I just released, which I right at the second, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know that I kind of used that line. But the thing is, it's a quote from Bruce Lee, actually, and I think he got it from J. Krishnamurti, but the quote is, to understand the disease, befriend the disease, walk with the disease. I may be, I'm paraphrased. I don't remember the exact quote. Befriend the disease, walk with the disease, become one with the disease, because that's how you'll get rid of the disease. It's like understanding, knowledge. That's where it's at, and sometimes when something's really scary, but then you start to understand what it really is, it's no longer scary, and then you can step out of that energy. So anyway, devil is live, not the present, here now. Thank you. And has the devil lived? Shavita, it's very good with lexicograms. Yes. The most powerful lexigram to understand is live is evil. Yep. Very good. And what is evil? I believe it comes from a Greek word for error or mistake. And those that are truly evil are living in mistake, because they are living in a reality where they've disassociated from who they are as spirit, which is the source of love, which is the source of all of our positive power, our love, our light, our joy, and everything. All right, so anyhow, moving right along, we will do a 3-card spread for us. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I have to do 3 over. 2, 3, 3, 3. Okay, found it. Sometimes when you've been reading tarot long enough, you just feel when you're picking the wrong card. It's like my energy is like, stop. Okay. So getting a card that I think we've gotten like 3 out of the last 4. Ooh, this is interesting. Yeah, because last week the cards came up pretty calm and smooth, and in my mind, I'm thinking, we have the Olympics, we have the Super Bowl, and all that. Although I was asking Spirit about the Super Bowl, they were and I may have alluded to this last week. They were saying, there'll always be some minor skirmishes, but for the most part, it was fine. Of course, there's a lot of programming. For those of you that watched my latest Ascension updates about 222, which is in 2 days. By the way, I'm going to do a transmission that night, Tuesday night on the 22nd, to work with that really powerful number 2 portal. two is very reflective energy, so that's going to be very powerful lunar type of a portal that we're going to be immersed in on 222. And it's also again the Pluto return. So this card's come up a few times: disagreements, battles, stuff like that. This has the feeling, we'll see what happens this week, but this really has the feeling of like the beginning of something falling. The Three of Swords can be about heartache, unfortunately, but it can also be about separation. As I'm looking at this card, I'm seeing something connected with like storms or global shifts, I want to say. Now here, in upstate New York in the Northeast, we may get a fair amount of snow later this week, just to put that out there. I've been kind of sensing that for a couple of weeks, like a late February or early March, big snowstorm. And it's not forecasted yet to be a big storm, but they are talking about maybe 6 to 12 inches. So it's significant. And of course, it may be more than that, depending on things line up. But that's one of the things. But the King of Pentacles, that's Earth, it's reversed. I mean, that can be about money, that can be about the governments, that can be about the president or world leaders. There's a little issue going on in the Ukraine, so that may kind of rear its ugly head in a new way this week. There's certainly been a lot of drama in the Olympics. I think closing ceremonies tonight. I haven't really even had a chance to watch it. I don't know. It's kind of like the story of my life right now. I'm always busy, but I've been really busy the last couple of weeks. Like no time for the Olympics. And but I look at the headlines on the news feed. I don't really read the news so much. But I do at least catch a glimpse. So I'm aware of a few issues that came up with that. But this feels fairly large scale. So this is really the time, because the energy just feels very kind of intense, combative, in your face kind of energy. And and then the devil card with the meditation cards. These are all heavy hitters in the tarot that we're pulling this week. And I feel like it's a message for us to practice. What does Adam say like every time he's on YouTube? Well, besides presence, what does Adam say? Heart, brain, coherence. I mean, that's a specific practice, but it's just based on compassion teachings. Yeah, there's meditations in Buddhism and other spiritual paths in religion, and it's really allowing you to expand the frequencies of the heart to elevated gratitude, appreciation, and love. And when that happens, your heart energetic patterns come into coherence, basically. And it's not about your heartbeat getting more even. In fact, you're supposed to have a slightly uneven heartbeat. Actually, if somebody's heartbeat is too regular, that's actually a sign of disease. So our heart rhythms are supposed to be slightly erratic. And I at this time on a Sunday morning, I can't access those memory files about why that is, but I've definitely been watching a lot of Greg Braden videos and other spiritual scientists that talk about it. But it's the resonance pattern, the frequency pattern. And then the heart and the brain are always communicating. They have the same cells that are found nowhere else in the body. More the heart to the brain than the brain to the heart, because the heart's the largest electromagnetic generator in the body. The brain is the second most. So when the heart comes into coherence, the brain comes into coherence. And what brings the brain out of coherence, which is coherent brainwave patterns: fear, panic, anger, just to name a few. And what's going on in the world around us, and what is the media perpetuating at this time? Fear, anger, separation, all that stuff. So at least once a day, but better 3 times a day, just meditate, sit, and feel the heart expand, and consciously feel gratitude, appreciation, and love. gratitude's the master frequency, because when we feel gratitude, it's because we have received something. And what does the universe do? The universe gives. So when we feel gratitude, we match the frequency of the giver. And as you do this practice, you start to become more coherent with the universe. And when that happens, all the magic begins. That's when your law of attraction or manifestation work starts to work. That's when you can start to heal, sometimes from cancer and so-called incurable diseases. It You start to produce more gamma globulin A. More, it enhances your immune system. More what's it called? Telomerase. Yeah, the enzyme that protects the telomeres of the chromosomes. Oh, and just to make this not too scientific, that's the aging factor. So it actually can slow down aging. And everybody that's lived past 120, which according to science and the way our chromosomes degenerate, that's said to be the outer limit of human life. But people live longer than that. And when they've been interviewed, it's pretty much across the board. Well, I live with compassion. I live simply. I live from the heart. Usually they eat simply also, and don't overeat. So that's another thing. Don't overeat, because that's not good for you either. So the people with longevity, I mean, there may be some genetics involved also. Um, but I'm saying that Spears saying no, it's the genetics are just there to kind of be a roadmap, but you can change that roadmap, and you can actually change your genes. That science is starting to prove that. But anyway, point being is, live with compassion, and we're going to need it. And this may be a pretty intense week emotionally for a lot of us. This is kind of very emotional card. A lot of us in this community are going to feel threatened by, and in your own lives, it may be by another person or situation, but on a national or a global level, we may start to feel again that pressure of oppression. It's been always there, but it's kind of let up a little bit. It's kind of like, well, the latest variant of that issue that's been affecting us the last 2 years um, is lessening. We're thinking about, maybe some mandates will be lifted, but the powers that be, trust me, the wheels are turning. It's like, how can we turn this into our favor? What Once this becomes a so-called endemic, which is just a label, frankly, um, what comes next? It's like, well, everybody, you can move freely, but you need a certain medication and a card to prove that you took it in order to do this or go to this place or go to that place. And this is just an example of one of the scenarios that may come up in this whole process. So, and it just feels like things have been, I don't know, like we've been on this razor's edge for a while. It's almost like the tension is so great. Like it's almost like that rubber band being stretched and stretched. It's just at that threshold where it's about to snap. It's kind of like what's that expression? The straw that broke the camel's back. It's like you can have like 10 gallons of water hanging from a thread, and you put one more drop in, and that whole water cascades down to the ground. So we're kind of like in that very tense, torn time, and it's not going to take a lot for there to be a lot of reactions. Now, I understand there's been some arrests up in Ottawa, where the truckers are and it's such a peaceful demonstration. I mean, I yeah, if you guys like these types of awakening channels, there's one that I really love called Inspired, but from John Nolan, and he's constantly giving us updates on what's going on in Ottawa, and um, and it's very peaceful. And the woman that's been organizing this, it's just like what a beautiful soul. She got arrested like I think 2 nights ago. And meanwhile, what are they doing? They're peacefully protesting. They're singing songs. They're holding hands. It kind of reminds me of the Woodstock Festival in '69, where everything was really peaceful. There was maybe like a dozen incidents with basically 500,000 kids gathering on a farm is what's happening. And it's like the hippie movement was gaining so much steam, and then what happened next was Altamont, and then the Hells Angels were hired to stir up trouble, and then the government were like, see, they're violent, we have to do something about these hippies, they're violent. But that's how it works. You look in any kind of freedom movement, peace movement, anything that's challenging the status quo, there's some technology that's thrown into it. And inducing violence has been a very effective means of squashing these types of movements. So it's good to be mindful of that, and to see how it's all unfolding, and how it's happening and everything. So Sharita's saying, be the silent listen. Yeah. Be in the eye of the storm. Be in the, create your own safe haven, feel the energy around you, and be a perpetuator of love. And I'm going to actually, I've been really, really busy. I know a couple of live streams ago, or last live stream, I promised every other week we're going to get together, just really do guided heart brain coherence meditation, and send that energy deep into the collective where it's needed the most. Because those that are in charge, the rulers that are perpetuating the misery and the unfairness and all that's going on in the world, you can't do that. You can't be that way if you're connected to soul and spirit. So these are people that through their indoctrinations or whatever have disconnected from soul, spirit, who they are as spirit. And by sending love and raising the collective, that'll help them to start to act more on the soul vibration. You know, we're just I mean, I don't even know how many subscribers I have now. I think about 2,800. So we're just a small group, and of that, we may get 50 or 60, on the meditation. But the thing is, we join with other groups, other conscious people that are doing similar work. So you do matter. One person does matter, because we all affect the collective. And in the chaos theory, there's something called the butterfly effect, um, which is, I guess, a part of quantum physics. It just says that when a butterfly flaps its wings, it sends a ripple around the world. And then if you're right next to that butterfly, you may feel the wind. And if you're in China, you're not going to feel much of anything. But still, that ripple effect still goes around the world. So when there was the not the I don't know about the last tsunami, but the big one, the big Christmas tsunami, everywhere on the world had a wave. In some places it was only a centimeter or two, and you wouldn't notice it. But what happened off of Thailand, I think it was, where they had like the 40, 50, 60-foot tidal waves there, that wave affected the entire ocean, and the world's 70% water, and everybody, like Antarctica, the Arctic, Russia, everywhere had a wave from that event. So you do matter, and the more people that understand that they matter, then the more people are going to get together in community and affect real change. And that's what's happening so far, based on my predictions, which honestly haven't been as dire as many of the other ones I've heard, but based on mine and other predictions so far, I mean, they've been mostly coming true, but not as bad as they could have. Like, in other words, I was worried about there being a full-on food shortage by this time in the winter. And yes, there is a food shortage, but it's not as bad as what it could have been, according to my predictions anyway. So that's what I have to say about that. So I'm going to actually, let me leave these cards in case I want to reference back to them. Is my version of a PDF. let's do Native American cards. What do I want to do next? Let's see how this augments that. Let's say a little prayer to Great Spirit. We pull the right card. Okay. There we go. I found it. Warrior of Pipes. We've had Warrior of Pipes also. Warriors are like the knights. Pipes are, I don't even know what suit pipes correspond to. Wands, is it? Anyway, what I'm noticing here is there's a broken pipe. That's what's getting my attention, is down in this corner. It looks like a pipe is broken, and pipe is a symbol of peace. Basically, it's a ceremony that the people do, um, help with the peace. And it's almost, I feel like it's saying, I think it may not be like a war per se, but I feel like it's like we're going into battle. Be ready, be prepared. We're going into battle, and we're going to start to see signs of that this week. Now, the World War III, in my opinion, is the war on consciousness. It's not like World War I or World War II. Much of the physical aspects of war on the planet happens in cyberspace, so it's cyber terrorism, and that's where a lot of the war is. But of course, there is escalating tensions in Russia and the Ukraine, so that's a physical war that can involve like bombs and guns and all that kind of stuff. But to me, as I'm looking at this is really more about going into battle, but more like challenging, like what's going on there, like what we're being told, by the media, by the governments, and it's kind of like this, thing where we know that we're not being told the truth on everything. We know there's been cover-ups in the past, and we know that there's things about this current issue that are not natural. We'll put it that way. That didn't necessarily come from bats, especially when you consider that ground zero, they couldn't even find a bat infected with the virus, which is kind of interesting for a bad virus that became a human virus. I mean, it doesn't prove anything, but it's something worth looking at anyways. But anyway, the point being is I feel like that's really where the battle is going to be, more about the systems of oppression, control, and start to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. There was recently a massive coronal ejection, but it happened on the back side of the sun. But if it had happened on the front side of the sun, some of the experts said that may have caused irreparable damage to the grid. And that's how vulnerable that we really are here on planet Earth, that a solar flare could take this all down. And what would happen if there was no electricity anymore, no internet anymore? I mean, I feel like spirit's watching over us. I don't feel like that's going to happen, but it might. And it's something to be aware of, not fear, but to be aware of it. And same thing is like, what if there's a big global conflict? I mean, they're already instituting martial law in Canada. Um, um, which is funny, from a prime minister that just months ago, seemed to be in support of peaceful demonstration. But you know how that goes. It's like, well, if it serves me, then it's okay. But if it stops serving me, it's not okay anymore. So, anyways, that's what I get from this card. So that kind of, I'll bring this back up again. Kind of, I don't know, everything on StreamYard is opposite, so that's why I still have a hard time getting used to it. I think that there's some corresponding energy. So moving right along, I have my medicine cards today, like last week, rather than the spirit guide animal cards. I've been very speaking of the Inspired channel, I've been very into Native American stuff because they had this beautiful Hopi prophecy that in the 80s on that channel. So I left a comment that was really heartfelt because I did some studying with Hopis and other people back in the day, and all their traditions are oral, they're word of mouth, but I left this comment, and this comment on another YouTube channel wound up getting like 1,100 likes. I'm like, why do one of my videos get 1,100 likes? It's like I go to another channel, comment on their video, and it has like over 100, comments under my comment. It's like that's crazy. So I've been answering a lot of people from that thread. Um, asking about, where did I learn this and whatever. And it's like, well, it's in my heart. And somebody just commented today, like, this sounds a lot like Buddhism. And these traditions overlap because there's there's really one God and one teaching, but for every human being, there's that many ways of interpreting that one truth. And so they're going to overlap, different religions from different eras, different locations, or whatever. You're going to find the common threads. And I feel like that when we finally establish like a world religion, if such a thing even exists, it's going to be more about what are they all saying, not what's different about them, but what are they all saying. And you can find that. It's not hard to do, and it doesn't take a lot of studying, to figure out what all these religions and spiritual paths are telling us. So anyways, on that note, this is the card that's jumping out at me. The ants. Wow, interesting. It looks like a big carpenter ant too. Well, ants are very community animals, right? Um, they 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 have this very, for an tiny insect, they have a very complex society and everything. The bees do also. I want to see what Jamie, what's her name, Jamie Sams and David Carson, who are the authors of this deck, have to say about it. um hmm. And patience. Okay, that's interesting. That would make sense. If you ever watch ants, they're very patient. They carry like food that's heavier than them, and they diligently carry it slowly but surely. Oh, there's a little poem. Oh, tiny ant, your patience grows like the sands of time. Can I learn to be like you, or is it too sublime? They've had better poems, but I get the gist. Um, this is the line I like. Second line here. Every ant in an anthill is part of an ant group mind, as all ants work for the queen, ant and the hive. Self sacrifice is a part of ant medicine. Greater than ants' others' medicines, however, is patience. So I think that you get the gist of that as well. Patience and understanding that we are part of a group mind. We don't want to lose our individuality because we are individuals unto ourselves, but we're all part of a group mind, a hive mind, if you will. So to complete this morning, we will draw an angel card. Okay. The Celeste. Well, maybe some of you are moving, but I think this is more about in consciousness. A happy move to a new home or place of employment is in the works. This movement will usher in positive new energy. So anyway, we're moving into a new consciousness, a new reality, as it were. And even if things go a little bit south, just understand that it's a happy move in the end. And I feel like that's a good message to end today. So on that note, looking at them. Oh, right, it's a holiday weekend. I'm like thinking why like why are there about half as many people as usual on tarot time? Because it's a holiday weekend. That's why All right, but people catch this as a video, so if you're one of those, great. So just as a update, the 22nd of February, it's 2 days away. We're going to do a transmission to step into the lunar portals of this very powerful two energy, and that's going to be a powerful transmission. So, please feel free to come by, invite your friend, anybody that's open to working with spirit and receiving activations. And the way, if anybody's new, the transmissions work is that they activate my energy fields, and as I'm leading the meditation, we kind of join energetically, and they're able to activate your energy fields also. And the idea is that part of the awakening process is the upgrade of energies that um, many masters throughout the ages would study for decades or even lifetimes in order to raise their frequencies enough to achieve enlightenment. But now that the frequencies are naturally increasing, you don't. I mean, you still need to have a spiritual practice. You still, and it still takes time and practice and everything, but you don't, it doesn't have to be so extensive, and when they work through me, they're actually accelerating your energy fields and helping your vibrations reach the threshold for an awakening. And different awakenings happen when different DNA codes that are dormant uh start to wake up, basically. So there's different levels, different types of awakening. So that's what this channel's about. That's what the channeling, the transmissions are about. So we're going to do that on the 22nd. Um, and check out the Pluto return video that Sharita Starr did for us. Very detailed information on how to prepare starting now for the next 3 years or so while we're in this Pluto transit, which is very, very transformative. Come 2025, 2026, a lot's going to look very different. The landscape's going to look quite different in my opinion. All right. So very good. Well, thank you, Angel. Yes. Hugs to you also. Thanks for finding us. So anybody that came in late, lots of good information came through today. So go back to the beginning, check it out. and thank you for being here. Uh cool. I'm just looking at some of your comments. Best of fortune on your move, Angel. Of course I like your name. Uh, my pleasure. Thank you, Sharita, for sharing your wisdom and everything, and answering Jennifer's astrology question. And catch you next time. I'm gonna get on with my day. Let you guys get on with yours. And I love you, and I really appreciate you guys being here and being part of this community. It means the world to me. So thank you.